Shalom. Call Halal Yahweh Shem Abishai by Hashem Rakak Badash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever. To the scattered that be among the heathen, the scattered elect that be like unto the speckled bird, and the aqua that are listening and learning. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. Just coming at you with another lesson. And these are a couple books that one of the beloved brothers gave me in the camp, maybe about a year ago. And the books are just so huge, it's hard to handle them and prop up the camera and, that whole sort of thing. This is actually a two-person project, because if I had someone to hold the camera or adjust the camera, then I could flip through it. But nevertheless, just to prove a point about history, you got this whole thing with us not being the Israelites and us not being in Rome, and they try to make Greek and Roman society or all Edomite society, and these series of books, the image of the black and Western art, this is volume 1 and volume 3. Okay, the one that's lying down, when you're looking at the name, that's volume 3, and the one that's standing up with the vases with it open, that's volume 1, and that's the same vase. All right, but first let me read something just to prove a point biblically and scripturally and historically. This is 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, and this scripture I bring it out a lot because it's so fitting. All right, and it reads, the 7th chapter, verse 28, and it says, "For my son Yahushai shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. All right. So in that 400 years, living among the Grecians, living among, being under the rule of Esau, Edom, well, you can see the images on these vases of these people, because this is all Greece and Italy. And what are you seeing at this time period? You're seeing so-called black people. All right. Because if you look at the bottom of the vase, let me grab a pencil or a pointer. There's a letter opener. I can use this. You can see there's a couple Edomite soldiers right there, but these are Jake soldiers. All right. And it says, in the book, it says Hydra 150, 151. That's this vase. And it says scenes of Heracles fighting against the Egyptians. Well, what you see right here is a big black guy fighting against other black men, Egyptians, and he's roughing them up. He's standing on one. There's a light-skinned one. He's standing on a woman. He's got one by the neck. He's got another one by the neck. He's throwing one through the air, and the rest of them are trying to run. And you can see the woolly hair, the dark skin, the thick lips. And even though this woman, these two on the ground look like Edomites. All right. But nevertheless, you have to, we always tell you that the ancient world was a mixed society just like today. But if you watched, movies from the 1950s and 60s, Esau, right now we're in the Christmas season, and then when you turn on all the little Christmas shows, all the Romans are what? Edomites. All right. But yet they don't want to acknowledge the truth, which we proclaim, which we profess, that our people was there, and our people are the people of the Lord. All right. Point blank period, man. Our people are the people of the Lord, man. All right. And as you can see, they were Hellenized. All right. So just to change up the script a little bit, let's go to now that we're looking at these dark people who were in Europe, in Italy, because the second side, it says side B, it says soldiers coming to the aid of Busiris from Cari Servate, Italy, Necropolis. All right. Terracotta, Vienna, I can't pronounce that word. Kushtisristis Museum. Kunish this riches. I can't pronounce the word. Sorry. But it's in a this is sitting in a museum. But why isn't this taught? Why is this ignored? All right. Let me go to let me do two things, because what this is proving the scriptures to be true is also proving the darkness of the Jews, of the Israelites that were because a lot of biblical history takes place in both Rome, Italy, and in Egypt and the so-called Middle East. All right. But this is Lamentations 4:8. And it reads, their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It has become like a stick. So it's acknowledging how the dark they are. The darkness of their skin. All right. The Israelites, that is. But yet, you'll have people like No Class, Sleazy E, Vocab Malone say that these people are claiming to be the Israelites. No, well, because we are. The artifacts, the history, and the scriptures identify us. It doesn't identify the people that he once said he knows they're not the people. Now all of a sudden he's saying that they are. All right. Let's find another scripture as we looking at this art. This is because he's fighting with the Egyptians there, Hercules. All right. It says, referring to the Israelites, it says, are you not as the Egyptian, Salakia, are you not as the Ethiopians unto me, O Israel, saith Yahweh? Have I not brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines, and Capha, and the Syrians, and from Ker, and all the nations that I just mentioned are all Hamites. Both the Ethiopians, the Philistines, the Syrians, not the Syrians, but yeah, the Egyptians and the Philistines and the Ethiopians are all Hamites. All right, they're all Hamites from Noah's son Ham, and they were all dark complected people. But you leave it to Esau, he'll tell you that the Egyptians were white, which was a lie, or so-called white. Because if you know any history, you know that that's at the time of the Ptolemies when they took over. That's when they became white. But prior to that, well, you're looking at the time prior to that. All right. Nevertheless, because I'm not sure exactly the time frame. This is not giving you the years, but it was still a mixed multitude regardless. But one thing for sure, one fact that can't be challenged, that it can't be argued with, is that Egypt started off a dark race of people. And all the sons of Ham throughout that area. That's why Sleazy E created that whole lie called the Hamitic doctrine, where he tried to make all the Africans that came from northern Africa and from the so-called Middle East, all the people that were in that area, he tried to say that they were just dark-complected white people. Exactly. And that the sub-Saharan Africans were Hamites. No, they were all Hamites. And what was that? That was to try to propagate this lie that the people in the land of Israel are the people of the Lord. Because you couldn't have these images from that time period as you're looking at, and then and all of a sudden you got, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, the Feldmans, the Sterns and the Steiners, the Oppenheimers and the Finkelsteins. See, something's wrong as we look at the facts. Okay, so when you get to the book of Acts, and you start reading about all the things where the Israelites were returning from and where they were going, because they had been Hellenized for 400 plus years, plus they were scattered, as they're returning from all those nations, man. So, this just a quick hit. This wasn't to be a long video. I'm gonna do this again and go, a little deeper into each one of the, not each one, but into many, because this book is really thick and it's got a lot of evidence and proof of the presence of melanated people who made up so-called Hamites and Africans and Ishmael. You know, prior to all the, you know, to the heavy race mixing that lightened them all up and that whole sort of thing, to the time period, man. So the Bible, you know, begins to make more sense when you see the pictures clearly like this. And then history begins to make more sense. But this being the same pottery, hey, it's hard. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. There, yeah, I can. Come back out. This right here is some pretty damning evidence, man. All right. When you look at this image, because like I said, that big one right there, that's Heracles, who you call Hercules. He wasn't a white guy fighting Egyptians. All right. So just like they made the Lone Ranger into a white man, which was Boz Reeves, they turned around and made Hercules a so-called white man. All right. You can see his face has been stripped away, but you can see the dark skin and the woolly hair on this one. All right. You can clearly see he's how dark he is. This one is on the ground. The Edomite woman that he's standing on, the other Edomite guy he's standing on. And this one that he's got over his shoulder, and then this dark flesh fellow here that he's got look like some kind of arm lock on, and this one he's got in the headlock. All right, and it looks like these are the soldiers running to the aid. So this is the same Vas, and they're running to the aid of these people that Heracles is beating up. I'll read it again. Hydra scenes from Heracles fighting against the Egyptians. Side A, Heracles slaying. So he was killing them. The Busiris priest. He was killing a bunch of priests. All right. B, the soldiers coming to the aid of Busiris. So yeah. So here you have, man, this is heavy, man. But just to prove a point, man, that E is a liar. He lies about history. He lies about everything. And he just does not want to claim his heritage as he's claiming ours. He does not. He wants to be everyone in history. All right. Because you watch all these movies, all these soldiers would be depicted as pale people, so-called white people. Now, there are a couple pale people on here on the bottom. All right. They are. But nevertheless, where's this in their movies? Where's this in their narratives? Because they lie and try to hide history. All right. So with that, you know, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh B'Shem Abishai, B'Shem Rakak Wadashin, Wa Abba Babal. Shalom.